Welcome to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. We began today, for those of you who are new, with a short, but also for the community, on consciousness and intelligence, and how our lovely 5D mystic, spiritual, inner child, adult, inner secure, attached self community, so the people who mindfully live and love, and the people who mindfully, spiritually live and love, that's us, okay? So that we have that access thanks to the bilateral, vertical, and overall integration. So we have physical, mental, and emotional intelligence. While the 43D are non-bilaterally integrated, so they don't. Let me read to you a little bit, and then we're going to have some quotes. And also, I'm attachment trauma informed, besides being a mindfulness mindset practitioner, content creator, and podcast host who likes to share with you all self-empowered, enlightened, empowered feminines. We don't do the shit that you see out there with those who do gender stereotypes, hook up to each other, they use Lucifer's name, they do maladaptive patterns of behavior, drinking, drugging, fucking, all that other stuff, without ever once noticing the good trauma information that is out there and then going to get therapy. The ones who do, when they're done with the MDR, child parts work, somatics, and or sensory motor, say, I don't want to do personal development, self-help, Maria, I want life now. And I say, there's a Zen master for you. So people who don't want to do the emotional mastery and depth of their own world, they don't have to be here. It's an option to navigate life from your ventral, vagal, energy, nervous system state. You don't have to be here. Plenty of people who will let you continue with your maladaptive patterns of behavior and threat response. Just don't call them Lucifer, please. They're all human beings who disregard their 0-1-year-old and their 3-year-old. So for me, when I began to have clairs, I was amazed. I never thought in a million years I would have clairs, but I had already been with clairs. I just didn't know about spiritual gifts. And now that I know about spiritual gifts and clairs being the same, I also found out scientists also talk to you about telepathy, astral travel, and the infinite world of our universal love intelligence. Some of us call it Akash, God, Source, Universe, dark matter, dark energy. One and in the same. Here's Anima Mundi. You accept all, you reject none, and it's a shared sphere of consciousness for the left and right brain person, which is what I am. It's called an integrated brain, and it's amazing and fun. So your funny bone keeps on expanding, and that's why consciousness and intelligence. It is what the 5D mystic spiritual process awakened and mindfully living and loving person with an inner child securely attached self-adult brings to life and all of our relationships. Well, that's true. Why? Well, because we don't say no to you just because you might be 3D, 4D, or 5D. We know how to implement healthy boundaries. You're not going to be involved in the process, of course, because it's my healthy boundaries, not yours. And so you don't find us saying to anyone that I need a spiritual boundary or borderline, or that somebody's a negative energy, and that as a Reiki practitioner, I'm so afraid I might get juju, bad energy. No, not at all. Actually, you're all my brothers and sisters. It's very disrespectful. When I heard of all the ones who talk about people as energy vampires, people siphoning, I'm like, why don't you go to therapy? You obviously don't know how to use a brain yet, or mind or self. You're not integrated. If you were, you'd know how to be differentiated. And then link and come together, and that's why you would know that there's nobody who's siphoning anything, and that your default mode network, as long as you're not an integrated brain, is scanning you and others in a way of you're unsafe to be yourself. Oh, wait, that's right. You're insecurely attached. That means you're not securely attached. That's why you want your threat response. You're always in danger. I see. So when people learn how to be an integrated brain, that's why, again, with mindfulness practices, mindset, you get there. But you have to have an inner secure whole self. If you don't have that yet, first the MDR, child parts work, somatics, you reparent. You learn how to love yourself first with a person like Patrick Chahan, good childhood trauma therapist, or Dr. Daniel Fox for those who have personality disorders, or Dr. Daniel Siegel. He's great with DID, dissociative identity disorder, and disorganized attachment. Okay, so once people get a hold of their true self, now they're ready to have a good time and to put into practice what I'm talking to you about right now, which is consciousness and intelligence and actively being of support to each other in the ventral vagal state. They don't have to do it, and Robert Sapolsky with Determined says that they won't do it because they have no free will. I beg to differ, but that's just my personal subjective opinion as a human being who loves God, Holy Spirit, and Jesus. And as Jesus shared, thank you, Sadhguru, the kingdom of God is within you. And as Sadhguru also shares, yoga is a method to experience the within. And as Stephen Porges informed me, yoga is a ventral-vagal portfolio of toning exercises. And then Peter Levine informed me that all of our trauma is stored in our muscles, bones, and tissues, and that when one piece moves, the rest keeps moving. And if you contain it, and if Dr. Dan Siegel informed me, you can see it, and you got a left and a right that work together, now we're on board. Means you can talk to me functionally or child adult, as Terry Real points out, with your thoughts and your emotions, and they're not irrefutable facts. And you're saying, hi, here's who I am and what I'm thinking, and I love that. And now when you're doing mindfulness, mindset, and mindset, the inner growth practices, you're dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, and unwanted from an open heart while going with the flow, which is actually amazing, the flow state. That's selflessness, timelessness. When effortless comes in, you're a little scared. I remember those moments, but then you get into richness and like, wow. So those of us who do Dharma, oh, wow. Yes, every day we do karma, but as you get practiced in being the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person in your ventral vagal state, you are not really doing karma because you're consistently expanding as a pure piece of consciousness and intelligence, physically, mentally, and emotionally, which is why you're not making up some bullshit stories of the Elsa Mantle people, which we're going to get to next. Okay, let me leave that one alone. So, thanks to you choosing love and kindness as your authentic self, you also choose to not lose hope on you or others, okay? You have faith and you trust in being that which you are, because why would you be a liar? Don't you want to be transparent, authentic, and have integrity? I did learn as a teenager that people didn't, which is why when you meet the adaptive child part people, they don't. But it's okay, because, 3D, 4D, they have the fancy man and lady in suit that give them a reason to stay that way. Okay, so with that being said, we on the other hand don't lose faith, hope, or trust in being our true self with others and in humanity to be able to choose to do the same in time. Obviously, that's if they choose therapy. Some won't, but again, and obviously we know the ones who have earned or already secure attachment, they're going to be easily into the 5D collective, because why wouldn't you? Once you have bilateral, vertical, all over integration, like I'm having a good time, you're feeling good, no, I knew that I would, yeah, because it's energizing and every day. So you wake up every day energized and more vital, because that's your restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, integrated brain, self, mind, human being is awesome. And the Sadhguru doesn't know the human words. I do. So again, you don't need yoga or mindfulness, but those support. The yoga, the ventral vagal toning, and mindfulness are three pillars of the mind, but with mindset and mindset, it really brings it all in, but it's with your desire, obviously, because otherwise, you might not want it. And that's something that's okay. Okay, so the Zen Master's Laundry, there's a lady who says, I want to do Maria, I don't want personal development, self-help, I want life now. So there's people that do that. Okay. And then there's others who just love their stories. So anyways, in the meantime, for us, when the three archetypes of existence make their way to us through life events and relationships, as you all know, we grow more confident, we grow more empowered, and we do so without using the bad stress fear. We use the good stress fear, the good stress of all the emotions, because we know self-regulation, because we know how to be in our social engagement, self-regulating body. So as we're tuning, oh look, I'm stressed, I'm already with safe haven, secret base, hey body, there's no physical threat, it's okay, we're dealing with something. It's called life, it's happening, it's important to us, so just keep it coming, ego Maria, it's great, keep the flow. So the spiritual process or science process is this, because we're using two sides of our brain. When you meet the egos who are blocked because they only have left, excuse me, a confusing shit. No, I'm not. I found it hard to believe. The first three, anyone who debates anything about the mental health professionals, the good ones, you leave it alone. Because again, they're not into it. It's okay. They don't have to be into tapping into their infinite higher human conscious potential experience in this lifetime or the next. For what we know, we leave it alone. But for our relationships, it's healthy adult and true love, empowered feminines, empowered masculines, okay, empowered whole people. I have my own empowered feminine, my own empowered masculine, feminine, in fact, divine sometimes, but we don't have to use those words. It's a human being who has healthy self-worth, is an inner child adult, and we have a good time sharing life, because that's exactly why we're doing a life that is true of spirituality, whether you are a science process or spiritual one. So I live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. Your emotions will always matter to me. So will your thoughts. But I will not feel shame if you feel ashamed of you or whatever you come at me with. But I also won't be unapologetically rude. I'll do my best to be the polite human being that I can while staying calibrated in my social ventral vagal state. And my cue of safety, if responded to in a way of you being an asshole, isn't going to make me be an asshole. I'm just going to know that you are not a person who welcomes the cues of safety from your own body. So you need a therapist, not the other way around. You don't have healthy self-worth, self-regulation, and self-soothing mannerisms, mechanisms, and I got a Cusco in my front, which means you're just going to wield your words with the left mode. I'm not really dealing with a person, it's a facade, but you are conscious enough to tell me that you're choosing consciously something called your adaptive and maladaptive child patterns of behavior and projecting your childhood trauma upon me in an interaction. As an adaptive child will do, they're real, they don't care about you, they're playing out a scenario, wanting control, wielding you where they want. The minute you don't take their side, they're going to be very pissed. They're going to go silent, and then they're going to cancel, block, unfriend you, who knows, or just be like a gossip about you. There's plenty of ways people do this stuff. Saw them as teenagers, saw them as grown-ups. I don't really spend much time in that. They're not energy vampires, dark auras. They don't need to be cut out of the herd. They're just human beings who have low self-esteem. In direct communication, they're passive aggressive. They do not know anything about themselves. They're a past self ego. In fact, if they all went to Patrick Tiahan, they'd learn to love themselves. They'd learn how to get out of envy, jealousy, spite, and shame, fault, blame, revenge, all of that shit. That's, by the way, human suffering. Then they'd have a good time with all their relationships and actively love and be kind versus dicks, quote unquote. But again, they're not really dicks. They're just unhealthy self-worth human beings who follow fancy assholes in suits that tell them to keep on doing that stuff, or who deny the fact that they're leading an unhealthy life with maladaptive patterns of behavior, unhealthy self-soothing, fucking people, drinking, drugging, doing it all over again, being pretend badass people who get into trouble. I mean, anybody remember teenagers? I'm just thinking. It took me a short time to learn, okay, I don't know what you want to do in life, but life's really running by. I'm not going to use time with any of you. I'm going to pick my herd, which is what I did, very fondly, by the way. And they showed me what people are made of. So when you meet people who have integrity, they know how to talk to you. This is functional inner child adults. And that is thanks to choosing love and kindness again as their authentic self and not losing hope, faith, or trust in being their true self with others. They didn't lose trust in love or hope. They also didn't lose trust, hope, or faith in humanity to choose to do the same again. And so when we have the archetypes of existence coming in, we got each other's back for real, not pretend. And that's with substance. So you're growing, enriching life and enriching relationships with healthy self-worth people. When we have the ones that are not, we don't kick them to the curb because they're not going to present any kind of threat to our physical life or emotional or mental, because we are consciously intelligent as self-regulating, attuning, and that's in our social engagement system because we're safe, secure to be our true self. So we know how to be empowered, not hypervigilant. It's inner child adults. That's why we don't need Patrick Tiahan. We love that he's out there helping people to learn how to do the same, okay? And therefore, here we do inner growth mindset. That's what we get to apply. Mindfulness, mindset choices, practices, skills that consciousness and intelligence get to use you and expand on a mental, emotion, physical level. And so for the 5D collective of mystics and people, living and loving mindfully, spiritually as our true selves in life and all relationships, what I can tell you is that we get to face the destroyer, sustainer, and creator with a capacity to grow confidence, to handle change without the bad stress, fear, and to handle our relationships, to expand them, and recalibrate the ones that have unhealthy mannerisms. It's okay. They learn how to, because you say, this is who I am, this is how I work. So they don't make it into their mission to have you do things their way. It's either they're going to be able to handle and have joy or not. So the archetypes of existence in the meantime, I wanted to continue a little bit about that, and we're going to talk more. I'm going to give you a story next. They present the opportunity to expand and improve one's mental, emotion, physical life, to grow and invest in enriching and genuine relationships, to bring forth and create the life that fulfills and enriches you daily. And that's because we're secure inner self people and mystics. So we welcome our ventral vagal non-reactive nervous system state. And that's why these moments are maximized as we grow self-empowerment and confidence, and don't lose sight of who we are, who we want to be, and what we want to bring to life in our relationships and the world. So it's not hard for us to become what we can be. It is a choice that we get to make by living and loving mindfully as our true selves. And in time, thanks to secure attachment, we have anchored in our ventral, which is what I know about. And that's why when we are dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, and unwanteds in life and relationships, the ventral vagal energy is what we're using, the good stress sphere. And you'll notice the difference because your body is consistently energized, you're healthy physically, there's a lot of things that take place. But we consistently say goodbye to bad stress, fear, and reactive threat responses thanks to putting mindfulness, mindset into practice. And we consistently say hello to engaging that good stress, and that's called you stress, the restorative embodiment, and then being self-empowered and confident mentally, emotionally, physically, again in our life and our relationships as healthy self-worth and self-soothing adults. And with that, we also, one, give yourself that beautiful gift because yourself deserves to be shared with us. We honor to have your whole self here with us. As you get goofier by the minute, then you share the gift with others because you're going to be a person who has that ventral vagal energy going on. We're reminding everybody else of that possibility, but also you're going to be a pacha in a world, even if there's Cuscos. So you just know if they're not welcoming of the cue of safety, that means they reject their parts that are disowned. You don't have to do anything except for spell out your healthy, which isn't going to be, here's my healthy boundaries, don't you dare trauma them. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. I'll give you an example in a minute. It's a gift that you share again with the world as well because it ripples. We're all a frequency. So the more of us who are consistently walking a walk, talking a talk, and an integrated, secure attachment person, brain, all this, the more it shares with our lovely earth, that frequency. So you're sharing a frequency of the 5D, Christ consciousness. It's coherence. And that's love, safety, and security. It doesn't mean that others will welcome it. And when they don't, it's okay because you don't have to do anything. So when someone's been like, you're trying to keep me on hold on purpose, you know what? You want my ill will. You're a mystic, aren't you? I bet you did an incantation on me. You put a love spell on me, didn't you? No, I don't do that stuff. That's called not respecting free will. I bet you do bad things. So whenever somebody can make such an accusation, I have clairs. I know what you're thinking. Okay. You can keep talking. No, I can't prove my intent. So here's the equation. I explain, no, this is not what I'm doing. I allow you to understand. I am very much sad that you may think these things, but I have to respect, of course. And if you feel that way, that's respected. That's it. That's how you do healthy boundaries. Another example, a friend of mine, I don't want you to be friends with that girl because she's dating the same guy I am. Okay, you're both dating a guy, basically you're his lovers because he didn't choose to go the polyamory route with his girlfriend, number one. Number two, I won't be telling my girlfriend about our conversation, so you don't need to be concerned that what we speak about gets told her, but I understand it's important for you. However, I don't have people decide my friendships for me, so here's my equation. I understand if you don't want to be my friend, I will not be cutting out my friend in my life because of this. And so that's it. And my friend and I stayed friends. Okay, so people, they don't get, you're trauma dumping. That's another person who needs a therapist just as much as anybody else who weaponizes words. They do characterological distinctions and judgments with a teenager in the room. So as long as you meet non-bilaterally integrated people, excuse me, you're confusing shit. You're going to notice because they actively think they know how to handle themselves and they're not including you in a conversation. They're just coming at you with threat response. And to conclude, our lovely, lovely quotes for the day. The circle of compassion does not work and does not move the energy of life if one person is missing and the person is you. So if somebody doesn't want the cue of safety, you don't make them do anything. No, you leave it alone. You just allow yourself to know it's been very easy for my life. I'm 44, it just gets easier and easier. Whenever I'm meeting anyone who doesn't have healthy boundaries, I'm not using enough to be saluted. That's the most recent fun story I got for you all. Bessel van der Kolk, one of the first things I do, he says, when I see people is I look at whether they are actually able to live within their rib cages. Breathing is very important. Our lovely Sadhguru, as he shares, life is just a certain amount of time and energy. Putting this time and energy to maximum use for everyone's well-being is all that matters. That's for those of us who can. Those who don't want to, it's okay. We're going to allow ourselves to remember Robert Sapolsky with determined says no free will. Sadhguru again, human potential is not of any kind of measurable limit. It can go as far as you have the courage to walk, yes. But if you don't walk as a whole self with your higher self, you're not really going to walk. far, you're going to be a spiritual ego, which is a spiritual bypasser, a pretender, science ego, limited science brain person, but they support us with golden nuggets. Okay, so we all serve a purpose. But for the 5D collective, we know about consciousness and intelligence. And so again, Jesus said, this is Sadhguru sharing, the kingdom of God is within you. That is heaven in your body. When you're mindfully living and loving and spiritually living and loving, that's what you got. It's called an empowered feminine, and I have an empowered masculine and an empowered self. My child parts are all asleep. I'm whole. Okay, I come at you. No, I come and share with you. And if you get nasty, my mother had already taught me as a child how to respectfully respect somebody who's being disrespectful. And I don't have shame. Never have and never will have it. I can feel ashamed, meaning embarrassed. I can be upset at not being able to learn things. So yeah, I can feel shamed in this way. But if I'm interacting with you and you speak down to me, no. You just basically showed me everything about your small ego, which is why you're looking down on somebody. And I already got taught by God what that is. And my mom. So again, integrity, humility are very easily maintained by those of us who have an empowered child. And that's because we got taught. In a child-centric environment, you respect your feelings first. And if anybody does anything to tease you in a way that's inappropriate and ineffective and really just shitty, don't you bother with it. So it's very easy to spot unkindness in people who don't know what love is, but who also are cowards and weak. Because they may think they're not, but they are weak, because who was strong was their child. And they don't go and heal that child with a therapist. So they don't have the kingdom of God in here. They got hell, and it's not Lucifer. It's called self-loathing, gut wrench, and don't go into do drugs, drinking, fucking people, and making it sound like your badass life is badass while you die slow death inside. Not really fancy, but the non-bilateral fancy woman, she went ahead to dismantle modern-day therapy and healthy healing. It's not healthy. They're trying to imprison you. It's dangerous to have no emotion. Enlightenment and health is not essentially non-reactivity. That's because you don't know how to do it, lady. And that other man, well, just hear how he talks about women. Very scary. Yoga is a method to experience the within. Thank you, Sadhguru. As I said before, yes, yoga is a ventral vagal of portfolio toning exercises. Success will come easy once you function at your full potential, only when you have eustress. A lot of people don't. The best thing you can do for your family, your children, society, and the world around you is to enhance yourself. Yes, good therapy if you need to unpause that self and get to be fun and have a good time. It's really fun. Again, you don't get frustrated by people. I stopped getting frustrated by stupidity when I was about a young adult before I got to college. Yeah, then once I got to college, I realized that there were still sensitive egos, and now I'm a grown-up. I'm like, okay, if I meet egos, they don't know, because I will stand down because I already know what they're doing. Spiritual process is not a divorce from life. It is an irrevocable love affair with life, which is accurate because you're consistently at awe. Every day, it's breathtaking. And if you act out of your humanity, you will always be inclusive and you will always do the right thing. Yes, but see, it's only in my perspective. People think compassion shouldn't be, that they should have the capacity to judge and shame. They want to cast stones. They think they know what's right. And as Sadhguru points out, where are you, Sadhguru again? And also Dr. Daniel Siegel, the rigid, chaotic brain doesn't know consciousness or intelligence because they're non-bilaterally integrated. So once again, whenever you meet anybody who's a caster of stones, don't bother. Let them cast their stones, because they're going to wield you to where they want you to be wielded. The reason that they think that you are easily manipulable, if you are one of those people that is following this, is because they will be able to wield you where their conversation and they want to go. It doesn't matter to us, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to hold who I am and you're not liking it because your brain goes rigid and chaotic, not the other way around. You can't handle who I am, which is why you can come up with asshole sentences like your brain's going to fall out of your ass or you're an idiot. I mean, really, it's not impressive. So again, when you find people who don't know how to think with a flow state, if you think you are big, you become small, said Guru. If you know you are nothing, you become immense. That is the beauty of being human. We are all nothing, because at the end of the day, near each other, we will only be someone based on our relationship. And again, that depends on what kind of relationship we are building. If I'm meeting your not reparented inner child, I just know I got a Cusco in town. If I'm meeting an inner child adult, then we're going to have a good time, and you're not going to make me have to follow your right and wrong train of thinking and that I must cast stones on people because you don't agree with the fact that I believe that every person is just as beautiful as can be with their flaws, and that therapy can help them to become love and kindness and have integrity. And then I have the laws that I respect and that I will keep voting about. And that's the only space that has a right to do the whole let me judge and cast a stone. But as for humanity and social society, yeah, no, I'm not one of those who's going to shame people. People want to shame people, again, it's because they actively have a they have a small ego thinking that they know what the best way to do is, and that means they disregard not being aware that they've never lived one day in the body of you or you or you or you. That society as a collective works well when we are looking at our emotional well-being first of all, because we're all bottom up. And that's your inner security. And if you want to stay in threat response, it's not your inner well-being. And then obviously top down is also important because your thoughts matter. But again, it's a collective. So let's just remember we got one group of people who care about well-being, the other who care about a lot of things. And we all come together, and that's why we dance. Let's fall in love. No, that's another one. My baby loves to dance and learn and laugh and not cast stones. One who is stuck in the realm of right and wrong, liking and disliking, will never know the texture of love. That's accurate. And that's because they're non-bilaterally integrated. So they don't know their own oxytocin gene hormone. And when they get chaotic and rigid, they are going to be in a threat response, which is why they don't know how to be a leader. Being a leader does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. And as all the smart therapists have shared, the one way that a person might be able to access their own humanity when they will not have had anyone who welcomed them with their flaws is by having a different sensation in the very moment that they're interacting with you. Now, that they may be reactive and treat you like a little piece of shit, that doesn't matter. But the minute you will have turned your other cheek, you will have engaged with a person in a way of looking at them with eyes that say, I respect you, because that's automatic integrity. When you have a bilaterally integrated brain, consciousness, and intelligence. I don't look down to you ever. I don't look down to me. It's why I said when he gets asked about respect, he says, silly, silly. He doesn't know the psych education because he's a guru. I have self-respect because I have a whole 3-year-old. I'm an inner child adult. You talk down to me, you're already telling me that you have low self-esteem. It's a given. It's been a given since I was a kid. It doesn't ever go away. That's why it's a whole heart. And Jesus then continued the teaching, and Stephen Porges confirms it. So you ask an empowered feminine, when someone talks down to me, I'm going to be a leader in that moment. And the only people who think that I'm not are the ones who want to have a confrontation. And they're not a leader in my book, because they're now being wielded by their 3-year-old, their 16-year-old as an unkind, unloving, non-bilaterally integrated person who's using their very own first 3 years of life in the absence of taking self-awareness, accountability, and regulation seriously so that they can tap into their intelligence. And then once they've tapped into it, come back around when they're ready with their ventral vagal state. Not as they're still leading with the illusion of that little shitty threat response being what is a leader. It is not even remotely close to the incapacity for these human beings to understand what they're missing out on. Again, I don't care. It's not my life, it's their life. But I'm saying intelligence, it's more than just emotional, mental, and physical. What I'm trying to present to you is if they heard the explanation, they would not want to be leading with a 3-year-old that's broken. They would want to get themselves healed, then master, and finally feel what it's like to be in their ventral vagal state. That's how a brain that is smart works, a mind and a self. A human being who wants to tell me they're smart. That means I find it hard to believe. That's not smart. That's just a person who wants to keep on doing their ego. Go have fun, have a good time, people. So pause self people, we don't need to be in any way, shape, or form in their vicinity. They will all have a way to justify their unkindness and their idea of having the capacity to shame people and tell people how to make a better society. In the meantime, the better society is made by walking the walk, talking and talk, and then going and voting, and well, a lot more than just that. But we'll be back again with more. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by. If you want, like, share, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Also, if you follow, subscribe on Fanbase, there's the paid subscription-based model content that will be made available in time. It's going to be the video, practical exercises, short ones. That's my plan at the moment. Okay, so while YouTube, we wait to get to the tier where I can have other types of subscription-based model content for us here. We're going to start with something small on Fanbase. And when, again, it's going to be when we have a certain amount. I'm going to wait till, I don't know, I haven't decided the number, but you go subscribe. It's a monthly subscription based model formula. You can unsubscribe monthly. And in the meantime, again, we'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.